Hey there,
Hello,
fellow streakers. How are you?
Hello. I'm laughing because we started off this podcast. Welcome to our streaking podcast. This is Jeff and Jamie. I'm Jamie. He's Jeff.
I'm good to be here. Are you good to be there?
I'm good to be here. We're happy to be here. Jeff was just explaining to me something technical in the electronics that we're using, and he gets halfway through and looks at me and he's like, I guess I don't have to explain that all to you. I'm like, you could. And I'm trying to remember what you said and understand. But
hey there, fellow streakers. Welcome to our conversation.
Welcome
good morning.
to the convo
it's so
today.
Good to have you.
We're going to pick up where we left off, to be honest, because our last podcast was fun. Our daughter called in the middle of it.
Yes.
I was looking at my iPad and it called through, and it took me a minute to figure out where is that ringing
coming from? We're hearing it. We don't know where it is.
So that
but
was
we know
funny
it's there
because it distracted us. But we were talking about rewriting who you are through streaking.
Yes.
Like how streaking gives you the ability to rewrite the things, the self-talk, the things that you say to yourself. Mm-hmm. And because of that podcast, I added 2 more things to my list.
So the last time we talked about a list of 20 items, and you now have 23 items.
22.
Oh, I thought
it says 23 because the next one.
Oh, because the next one's down. Sorry. Okay, 22 items. I guess
we also talked about how important it is that I be particular.
I was looking at her list and I saw 23 and didn't realize that it just said 23 list next to it. Do you see it says list there?
Yeah, I don't know why it says that.
Okay. Anyway, so what were the 2 that you added?
So as we were talking last week about, we talked about Megan. And her
Megan
writing
Sumerel.
streak, Megan Sumerel, and her writing streak, and how, but more powerful to me, well, because of her writing streak, what was so powerful to me was her talking about how she was rewriting how she thought about herself. Like she's rewriting her own story by having a streak. She's no longer telling herself she's not a writer because she's writing every day. And it was great when we were talking to our son about this. He's like, I feel the same way. I can't say that I'm not a person that doesn't exercise because I exercise every day.
Every single day.
Or these things that we're doing every day. We're like, I guess I am a person that's doing that. I'm doing it every day.
So in rewriting your own story, one of the things that I have been thinking about as far as rewriting your own story is this aspirational statement of who I want to be. In other words, I'm aiming for this particular state of being. And as I aim for that state of being, that helps me to know who I want to be. I think that the reason, so that's important. And so, for example, there's 16 different thoughts that just went through my head, and I apologize. None of them are coming out cohesively, but I'll try. First thought, knowing who I want to be helps me align what I need to do to get there. So we talk a lot about that in many of our different podcasts as far as streaking is concerned. Second thing is the person who I want to be and who I'm trying to strive to be can get off track because I start to compare myself to others that are already at that place who I want to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so now, because someone else is there and I'm comparing to where they are and I'm not doing the things that they're doing at the level that they're doing them, then, I don't know if I could ever get there.
Right. It becomes discouraging. It also, I think, those thoughts start to take up the mind share. You're thinking about what they're doing instead of focusing on what you're doing.
Right.
So that comes part of it too.
Yes. Because you asked me last time, I don't remember in the first part of our marriage, me, Jeff, ever writing.
Jeff, writing a lot.
A lot. I mean, I did first college and school and
when
all
you
those
had
things
to.
when I had to. And then I remember going to a success conference and hearing Zig Ziglar speak. And he said, all I did was write 1 page a day and I was able to produce this book. And he made it sound so simple that I went back and I started, I'm like, well, I want to be a writer and I want to start doing these things. So I'm going to start writing a page a day. And I tried that and it didn't work. And so what happened, I got frustrated because it was like, I can't even write 3 sentences, let alone a whole page. How am I ever going to do that? So what happened? I reconfirmed to myself that
I'm not a writer.
I'm not a writer.
I'm not good at this. I'm not going to be able to do this.
And that is why when you and I kind of happened on or discovered or uncovered the whole idea of streaking being that you've got to make it laughably simple, that starting somewhere, not making it so difficult that you can't start.
Right.
Because what is it that you would say? You would say this all the time. You would say the victory in running was getting out of bed in the morning.
Yes.
Wasn't that what
It was
or what
getting
was it?
out the door. I used to
Because you were never a runner. I mean,
wasn't
you
a
would look at
runner.
it and you said, but you can't say today that you're not a runner.
No. And I would do that. That was back before we were doing streaking, and there was certain races that I would be training for, and the pressure of needing to run the distance and then trying to get the time sometimes would be a lot for me. And so I started to be like, you know what? It doesn't matter at this point if I hit the distance or hit the speed. I got out the door and I'm running. First victory of the day.
So you reduced it to its simplest, smallest, laughably simple.
Laughably simple. I walked out
Why
the
is
front
it,
door
you know,
with
the
my
thing
shoes on. That's a streak.
That is a streak. Actually, I did a little streaking short. Either as a short or a blog that I did a little bit on, as far as you start to look at, I mean, because we're coming on the new year, as you start to look at your resolutions, a lot of people set physical resolutions as far as I'm going to get in shape this year, you know. But what happens is I look at the premium people that are in the ultimate physical shape, and they're these amazing Adonis figures.
Well, it's their job.
And what I look at is I think, I'm going to be there.
Be that.
Therefore, I will now work out 3 hours a day, and I will eat nothing but protein. And I will eat protein with just
kind of
water.
funny.
You can tell it. Go ahead.
You went through this period where you did that. I don't even remember what the protein was, but you're like, why do I have to mix this with something? It was a powder. It was some kind of a weird protein powder. And you mixed it with half a cup of water and you just drank it straight. You're like, I'm just taking this down. And 20 minutes later, you threw it all up.
Yeah,
like,
I was like,
that is a perfect example of a New Year's resolution gone wrong. Taking it a little too far.
But you know what, though? That is what happens. We look at the top level, any master in any particular profession, or be it physical, spiritual, intellectual, or emotional, any one of those. We always look at the person that is at the top of the game and say, okay, I need to do what they do.
Right.
And you know what? I purport that. Yes.
But we need to start where we are.
And it's got to be the laughably simple part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to reduce it down to where it's just laughably simple, because continuing with the story, when I heard Zig Ziglar say, write a page a day, and I thought that was so simple. I hear people all the time, well, just for example, read 5 minutes a day. That's so simple. But it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is when I failed at that, I reinforced the idea that I was not a writer, nor would I be. I just wasn't born with that gene.
Right.
And so now fast forward, I think 15 years later, and we're looking at it. And that's why when I, in the mirror, saw myself in my workout clothes and was pondering why I couldn't floss my teeth, why I couldn't do anything. And I was looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, I have been steadily running, consistently running or walking for 300 days. It is a 300-day-old streak. And I looked at myself and thought, why can't I do this with floss? Why don't I just set a streak to floss my teeth? Fundamentally changing the whole paradigm from what I'm doing to how long can I do the simplest part of that. I mean, that just blew my mind. And now, I've been flossing my teeth straight. It's now 1,785 days old. Sorry, I just get all kinds of excited about it because it's empowered me in a way, and it's empowered others in a way that I never even thought was possible. And I really didn't.
I know. I love, and that was why when we were talking at our last podcast, Did
you get me monologuing? I
got you monologuing. It was great though, because we get excited. So as we were talking in our last podcast, as you were talking, and I wanted to, it's always fun when we're having these conversations and I'm getting new thoughts in the moment, and I'm like, how am I going to capture these? We're recording. I want to capture what I thought. But I was thinking as you were talking, as we were talking about Megan, as you were talking about rewriting, as we were talking about self-talk, the last podcast we talked about having this balance in self-talk between that you can't just have all positive self-talk, that's not healthy. I thought, isn't that interesting that there's so much of life that requires balance, and that too much of anything, even a good thing, you become imbalanced.
All sunshine makes a desert.
Exactly.
All rain makes an ocean.
There has to be this balancing in life.
Or a flood.
And how much
I guess that would be the other way to look at it.
Desert too much of a flood. Yes.
Right. All rain makes a flood. All sunshine makes a desert.
Very good.
Thank you.
So we need balance. We need both. keep me on my train of thought here.
Go.
But
Keep
I
going.
just love that that's part of what streaking, I think, helps really to create in your life is this, it gives you a way to be able to create balance. And I was thinking about, well, how does it do that? One, it gives me a place to start with the laughably small, the laughably simple. Two, that tweaking in the thinking where I'm looking at it going, okay, my focus is how many days in a row can I do this? So I'm focusing on that input. But what's amazing to me is that how many days I do more than the smallest, simplest thing, but also how many days it's okay that I do the smallest, simplest thing. So it's creating literally that balance, those days where I am doing more and I've got that, brainstorm of thought where I'm like, I'm just going to write this all down, or wow, we really love this chapter in the book that I'm reading to the boys, and we're going to read 3 chapters tonight because we're just having fun, and this is great. Balanced out with those other days where it's been nonstop all day long, we're exhausted, we're falling into bed, and I just can read to them 1 paragraph, and we're good. It's creating and allowing you to have that balance in your life, which is what it's supposed to be. That was fascinating to me that sometimes I think I'm trying to get to this point where all I have is positive self-talk. I just want to talk positive to myself all the time. And when you said in the book that you were reading that he said, that's not healthy, that was
what they found is that
me.
they showed that studies that people that did that were actually not as effective,
not
or as
necessarily
productive.
dealing with reality.
Right.
That there is some level of reality that you need to look at,
And
honestly.
Exactly.
And so I looked at it and I thought, balance is something that's really what we're always trying to achieve, is this constant level of balance. And streaking has given, I hadn't realized it, but as I looked at it, I'm like, the methodology allows that in your life. It allows it and encourages it to be able to create that balance, to create those times where you can do more and you can take it farther, but also to create those times where it's okay that you don't do more, and maybe even you don't need to do more right now. Do your small, simple and move on, because you've got other things and you need that balance right now.
So with that balance, I think that what I also hear is confidence, because what I'm looking at is the reality of it, and seeing that there is the reality of I'm living life.
Right.
There's a lot of things that are happening. I mean, right now in the midst of the Christmas season, we are just enthralled in the throes of, that's the words I was looking for. We are in the throes of everything that has to do with Christmas, thinking about our neighbors and what we're going to be giving to them, thinking about our children and what we're going to be giving to them, thinking about what are the different events and memories that we can make. All of those things right now in this particular point in time.
In conjunction with people finishing up school and midterms and year-end things that are happening at work and all of the things that, and then also regular life, laundry. Gee, wouldn't it be great if I had some clean socks to wear in all of this? I mean, those things don't go away.
Thank you, by the way, for doing that the other day.
In the
I
midst of
appreciate
all
it.
of the, I was thinking of the boys actually right now who have been asking, Mom, do we have any clean socks? And this morning I thought, I need to get them doing their own laundry because I'm obviously not going to get their socks cleaned.
What I look at, though, is all of those things are real and they're happening, and we need to do them. I mean, we need to do them for life. We need to eat. I mean, that's all there is to it. You don't eat.
And I would like to
survive.
continue trying to eat healthy. I mean, but all of these things that are continuing going.
And so those things, so when I'm striving to be someone, for example, let's just go back to writing. So with Megan Sumerill, and she was talking about writing. And I also look at our other friend that says, I never saw myself as a reader.
Right.
And rewriting who you really are is about rewriting in a way that you can rewrite. You've got the smallest, simplest thing that I can do that.
So
it gives me a confidence that I can look at it and say, I can write the 1 sentence. I can read the 1 sentence. And again, to your point, back to the balance, when there's an opportunity to do more, I'll do more.
I'll do more.
But it gives this permission that is so significant. And I have seen in the life of masters, the ones that really do it, that this is what they've really mastered, is they've mastered the laughably small things.
Right.
And we look at what they do and are in awe with how significant it is. And we should be, because what they've done is be consistent at laughably small things. They've kept a record of it, and they have a community around it. I just wanted to go into, because that's how the laws of streaking work, is you point to who you want to be, and then you look at the laughably small thing that I need to do on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. I keep record that I've done that thing because that's the lifeblood of the streak. And then there's a community around it, because people, and this is the thing, a lot of people look at it and think, well, I need to be held accountable because I don't trust myself. I would suggest that that's not the case. The reason you have a community is because they celebrate with you. Mm-hmm. I think that is ultimately more significant. And in the app itself, when we talk about the Streaking Mastery app, we give high fives to people because we celebrate their streaks.
Right.
We're not saying, oh, you didn't do that. Oh.
Right.
It's more, congratulations. That is so awesome. And to think about celebrating the laughably small, it's kind of laughable, but it is this
counterintuitive.
It is counterintuitive, but it's such this shot of enthusiasm and excitement.
I agree. These small wins, this ability to be able to look at and think, okay, I am being victorious each day. The other thing that I had added to my list was streaking is a way to be able to fight those comparisons, to get us started on things like you had talked about when we were looking at someone that seems so far away, or maybe our future self that seems so far away, being able to set that comparison aside and focus on that small thing that I'm going to do today. Mm-hmm. And that small thing that I did yesterday, and the small thing that I'm going to do tomorrow, that just by tweaking that a little bit, you're in a small way setting aside that comparison and only looking at where you're at and what you're going to do today and doing that small thing. And then you continue on with life. But over time, as you continue to do those things, you're becoming who you want to be. But you're also being able to do it without constantly comparing yourself to where someone else is. You really are looking, and that's one of the things that I say a lot on this podcast, but that you're the only person that can decide what your streaks should be. You're the only person that's going to decide who you truly want to be. And you're the only person that can decide what your laughably simple is. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that people's laughably simples are different based on where they are.
I want to cue on that for just a second, because as I think about it, there's a lot of studies and books that are written on what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. And when I say that, I'm pointing you, because the book, it points to what you should do and how you should do it and the things that you should be doing. And what I see and what you're saying is that we decide ourselves what laughably simple is.
Right.
And there are some things that skirt around the edges of it. For example, the United States Running Streak Association said, look, to be a part of our association, you just need to run at least 1 mile daily.
Right.
Now, for some, that could be very difficult. For others, that could be so laughably simple that it's even beyond laughably simple. That's where you choose what it is you want to do that's laughably simple. It's the consistency that you're activating in your life. It's you're operationalizing consistency. One of the you said something a little bit earlier that I wanted to get. It was, what was it? It was the small tweak that it's. You said it this great way. I'll have to go back and listen to the podcast.
Just in the way that you tweak the way you're looking at something?
Yeah, but you said it in a way that it rhymed, and it just was this little nice kind of click. I know.
It's gone,
it
whatever
just came
it was.
forth from your mouth. No, it's not gone. It's actually recorded, which is a beautiful thing.
I just love, I really loved, as we were talking, the idea that the streaking gives you permission to start where you are, and we still keep goals and we still keep routines, and we're still looking ahead to maybe that person where they are, or that person of us of who we are and where we want to be. We don't stop looking at that altogether. But in streaking, it allows that negative comparison, I think, that sometimes inhibits us from starting or keeps us from continuing on. Mm-hmm. It gives us a way to set that aside a little bit and to say, I don't need to be doing that right now. I've decided this is my laughably simple streak, and my objective is to see how many days in a row I can keep doing this.
So with that being said, we said we were going to say 3 stories. You remember on our last podcast? Mm-hmm. So the first story was Megan Sumerel.
Right, and her ability to rewrite her story. I love that.
Oh, that's so significant. The second story was actually the story of your friend that has become a reader.
Yes.
And enjoys reading.
Yes.
There's a third story.
All right.
Should we say it?
Sure. This is your third story. This was the one that this is your friend.
Well, what the third story is all about, and it's interesting because the third story, it hit something that I had never even considered before. And the third story talks about improving your life in a way that I didn't realize was a problem that was out there, and that it was as significant as it was. Now, people are wondering right now, what is this story all about? Well, I think we need to save it.
Oh, great.
Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess. Great.
Because
Are you going to tell us
we
a
don't
little
have
bit
enough
about what
time.
it is?
You know what? I want to save it, and here's the reason why. Is because it's so significant, and there's so many far-reaching implications. I want to research it just a little bit more before I say exactly what it is. Because when we say it and you listen to it, I think that it could, the way that it shifts your thinking, and it is about streaking and how streaking shifts your thinking, the way that it will shift your thinking will, I believe it will, I'm going to be audacious and say it will shake up the medical community.
Interesting.
It will literally
You're
shake
gonna
up
be
the medical
audacious.
community. Yeah, I'm going to be a little audacious on this one because when I realized it and saw it, all of a sudden my mind exploded with, it was like that morning in the mirror looking at myself and thinking, you know what, streaking can be so much more. Well,
I loved what you said where you're like, streaking can change your thinking.
yes,
That's it. Streaking
it.
can shape your thinking. It can change the way that
I like that.
That's it.
Streaking can change your thinking. Streaking can create thinking differently. Streaking can shape your thinking. And as we look at this next story, when we get into it, the thing that I love about what it is that we'll talk about is the problem that we're going to be talking about has been researched for a long time. And after talking with this one individual and what she experienced, I think the problem, though it's been researched and everything else, now has a little bit of a different answer.
I love that.
So how's
I've
that for a
enjoyed-
big setup?
That's a big setup. I love
And it's
what we've-
audacious.
It's that's you. I loved what we've talked about today. I've loved talking about rewriting our stories. I've loved talking about creating balance, and
Yeah.
I've loved talking about being able
Guys,
to
if there's
fight
anything we could do,
comparisons.
it's try it. Give it a shot. Set up your streaks. Become who you want to be. It's real. It works. And if there's anything that we can do to encourage you, please let us know at Jeffrey, Jefffery, at streakingmastery.com or
Jamie at JAMI@streakingmastery.com.
well, until we talk again and we reveal that third story, keep streaking.
Simple things that make the life we live worth living. Among the rush, do one push up, become a better you. It's the small and simple things that make you grow into what you're hoping. You're in a hurry, don't even worry. It's too simple